Playing for Keeps, presented by Jiffy Lube. With the voice, Milt Thompson. Delivering the best of sports programming. Interviews with top celebrities. And the answer to the question, where are they now? And now, Milt Thompson, Playing for Keeps.
And welcome to Playing for Keeps. I am your host, the voice, Milt Thompson, right here on WHMB Channel 40. Every Friday night at 9 p.m., we are bringing you the best in sports programming. And you know, every month we said we're going to have a Where Are They Now segment. Well, this month here, just because I'd been away for a while over in Africa and in the Far East in Dubai, by the time we got back, we had to bring out a couple of premiere shows. So now we're going to catch up with Where Are They Now? And every week this month, we're going to have a Where Are They Now? And today is no different. But before you do that, you're going to patronize our great sponsors. Go to Jiffy Lube. Go get your car taken care of. You know it's probably a little rattly trapping right now and getting here in the summertime. You want to go get it smoothed out, get it cleaned up and oiled up and go to Jiffy Lube to have that done. And go to East Spot Spas. That's where we older athletes are going right now to get regenerative healing in our, my goodness, I think one of your old teammates, Donald Thomas, was in there and getting his knees fixed up, and we'll want to invite you over there too and do that because then you want to go to Bleaky Dillon Crandall and get some legal services handled. So then I think we're going to be bringing on the Hope Training Academy as a sponsor here soon, and so isn't that right, Kelly? And what are we going to bring those guys on? But anyway, what we're going to do is have another fantastic interview with all hands on deck, John Hand. He's a helping hand. And he, my goodness, it took all hands on deck to stop him. If you looked across for that man and that imposing man on the other side of the line, you decided that this might not be time for me right now. So he kind of annihilated people. But we're going to come back and talk with him a little bit. So glad that he has found his way onto our show with all the other great ones. We'll be right back here with all hands on deck. John Hand, right back here on Playing for Keeps.
Playing for Keeps, presented by Jiffy Lube. Playing for Keeps, presented by Jiffy Lube.
Welcome back to Playing for Keeps, and I am your host, the voice, Milt Thompson, right here on WHMB Channel 40 every Friday night. Tick-tock, tick-tock, check your timer, what it is, get on there, you watch us, because everybody's watching this show these days. When I say every, I said never everys and never alls, but you know what? All and every are watching this show because we bring on the best talent that we could possibly have, talking in the world of sports, and tonight's no different. Tonight's no different. All hands on deck. John Hand, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Man, well, we're honored to have you. Still an imposing man, a pretty good size on him. People still see him around the community, and they see him around the Hamilton County area, helping hands as well as all hands on deck to stop him. Tell us a little bit about your beginnings of an athletic career, and where you were born, where you were raised, and where it is you got the interest in all this.
I was born in a small town in Alabama called Sylacauga, Alabama. We're about 45 minutes south of Birmingham. When I was growing up, we were like 15,000 people. And so...
Could you spell it?
Oh, had to, yes. Most names in Alabama are Indian names, so you had to be able to spell them, yes.
Okay.
And I always wanted the teacher to call on me, so I knew how to spell it.
Okay, exactly right. All right, because you were ready to go.
Yes, definitely. Started playing sports when I was about 10 years old. Just to have something to do, too much energy just sitting around, so I had to go out and do something. And so I played everything. Whatever season it was, that's what I played. So
at 10 years old, you kind of figured out that you just had to get some energy loose.
Oh, yeah. Football, basketball, baseball. Once I got into high school, track and field, just developed it all, doing every sport.
So when you're that versatile and around, how do you eventually, nowadays, I mean, they make you specialize a little too soon, in my opinion.
I agree with you 100%.
You need to be a well-rounded athlete in order to excel in almost any sport anymore.
Exactly.
So you're 10 years old, and I suspect you're probably not almost 7 foot tall at that point.
No. No, I was I was average height when I was 10 years old. I grew in high school. I grew an extra 6 inches in high school.
Okay.
But I thought I was going to be a little bit taller and never got in.
Never got in.
Got to 6'7" and stopped.
6'7" and stop, right? To my goodness. Some people never get to 6'7", so we stopped long before then.
Yeah, but I'm like, I see 7 feet in my future.
And so then you're thinking maybe one of those other sports.
Exactly. But that didn't happen, so it's okay. I'll make this one work.
Okay. So what really appealed to you about football?
Football was one of the sports where one of my high school coaches said, you'll probably be better at this. You can get a longer career at this. Looking back on it, I don't think so. I should have stayed with baseball.
Should have stayed with baseball. Okay. All right, then you come on and play with me a little bit. Well, yeah, baseball. Dave Winfield made that decision. Of all the ones he had, he got 4 options. And so, which one is the lifestyle that you want? Right. And if I were a little taller, I might have taken some other options. And if I were really smarter, I would have learned to play golf a lot earlier because there's a better lifestyle.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I wish I'd have been introduced with that as a young kid.
Exactly, would have changed our ways. But you were bigger than the other kids, though, at getting up in toward high school area.
Yeah, I started getting a little heavier than most, but they taunted me a little bit. But the thing is, though, I could outrun most of them, so I didn't get too much crap from them.
So they don't want to be too big and too slow.
Exactly.
You said, as long as I'm faster than the bear.
Exactly. Well, I want to be faster than him, just be faster than you.
Faster than you, exactly right. Don't worry about faster about him, exactly. So you were faster than, and you were stronger than, and you started developing some interest by universities and colleges, even from a small town. So you can get there from there, right?
Well, you can, but I never even really thought about that when I was coming up. I was just playing the sports just for the love of them. And so, like I said, people started telling me in about my sophomore year that, you're pretty good at this. But I was hitting it in every sport I was doing, so it pushed me to be good at whatever I was doing. And so it wasn't until I was a senior in high school and someone said, you might go to college playing this sport. And I said, Because I never thought, growing up in a small town, that wasn't the thing that we're talking about. We had a quarry in our town, and a mill where they make cloth, spin cotton into yarn and stuff. Right. And those were the only 2 things in my hometown that they did. And so I knew the 2 things I didn't want to do. And so when they mentioned college, I'm like, that's an out.
That's a different
that's
way.
A way out.
It's a different way to do something
yes.
and get on to college.
Yes.
So you dominated at the high school level, and coaches kind of suggested perhaps that all hands on deck in terms of an education.
Yes.
So get an educational pursuit, and what happened next?
Well, the education part was fun to me because my thing was I never wanted to be called a dummy, and so my thing I competed, in sports I competed in class as well, and so I competed with whoever's top person in class was. I always want to have some of the best grades, but I just they suggested football. But I loved them all. It wouldn't have mattered what I was. Because when I was recruited to go to University of Alabama, it was Bear Bryant was the head coach there. And so they'd always told me, said, you can also, if you would like to, you can do another sport here.
That's unusual these days also, right?
Yeah, and that appealed to me. But, it never came about because within that year, it was his last year in coaching, and when he retired, he passed away. So new coaches, new ideas, new plans and everything.
So what was your position group back that time getting recruited on?
I was a defensive lineman. And I say I was the original defensive lineman. Yeah, because we had to take on tight ends. Right. So I was 6'7", 285. And so you couldn't be like the ones when I got to the pros, they were like 245, 250.
Right.
And so, they weren't about taking on tight ends. They were trying to get around them. And so I always say, I'm the last original defensive end.
How about that? So you had the defensive end where it is speed, quickness, moves, agility, as well as size, but size enough that you can get around people instead of having to bulldoze them over.
Exactly. So we had to do it all. Like I said, now they're specialists, but when I was there, we had to take him on, we had to split that double team, come off that block and make the tackle still, no matter where the running back was. Right.
Playing at a program like Alabama, I mean, now people say, well, my God, if you play at Alabama, you can play anywhere, right?
That's what they say now. But, going through it, you got to survive that. At college is one step higher than high school, and so the talent level is that much greater. And so with everyone in college, you had to pick up your game even more. And everybody don't make it. And so you always had to have something to fall back on.
Well, you fascinated me talking about education competition, being in pursuit of an education and saying, I may not need all hands on deck to stop me, but you're going to need all hands on deck to really stop you when you're talking about having something to fall back on. You've mentioned that a couple of times.
Yeah.
The all hands on deck. John Hand here with everybody. We're talking to him right now. So you're playing a great college career, and now you're contemplating maybe is there another level here?
Yep. I actually didn't think about that until my senior year in college. I was enjoying what I was doing, playing football. It wasn't until my senior year, and someone said, you know what? If you keep playing the way you're playing, you can make the pros. And I'm like, that's another level. That's great.
Right. So at the time, you're degree conscious, right? And going to graduate.
Yes.
What kind of academic pursuits did you have?
Well, I always wanted to be an FBI agent. So I studied criminal justice. Well, actually, I started political science. I used to love to argue.
Gotcha.
And I love a good debate.
Gotcha.
But they said, you don't have that kind of time.
So I had to 1, 2, 3, and you're gone, right?
Yeah, so I had to find something that I would love to do that I had the time to, that didn't conflict with what I was there to do in the original.
Right, so you got criminal justice kind of a degree.
Yes.
And put some of that to work in terms of social justice matters that you're dealing with today. We'll talk some about that in our next segment, but I wanted to get a little bit about what it was like to get drafted into the pros.
It was nervous. I was very nervous. It was scary, and it was exciting at the same time. I think I heard Clark saying about going to New York. I got the call to come to New York, and I said, you know what? I don't want to go to New York. I went back to my hometown in Sylacauga, Alabama, and watched the draft from home. And so I was available for the phone call there.
Okay, so tell us the great anticipation and when the phone call came.
Well, I didn't know where I would go. Then they didn't speculate where you would go in the draft and stuff. They just thought when you would go. And so I was at home. She was my girlfriend then, my wife now. We're home with my mom, and so we were watching the draft, and all of a sudden we get a phone call, and someone was saying, when I took the phone call, they said, you're missing it. I said, I'm talking to them right now. I'm not missing anything. And so, I was supposed to, someone called and said it was going to draft, you go in the first 5 picks. And that was like, that's interesting. And then all of a sudden, coach drafted me the fourth pick in the first round.
Now, that's what you call all hands on deck, being in, you can count them on one hand, right?
It was a total surprise, surprise.
Right there on hand and all hands on deck. John Hand, we're going to continue our conversation with him right after we come back here after these few messages.
Playing for Keeps, presented by Jiffy Lube. Playing for Keeps, presented by Jiffy Lube.
And welcome back to Playing for Keeps. I am your host, the voice, Milt Thompson, right here every Friday night, 9 p.m. on WHMB Channel 40. We bring you the best in sports programming. I want to thank you for patronizing our wonderful sponsors out there. And I also want to have you go tell your neighbors about this show. If they haven't seen it yet, they're going to learn to see it. And when they do learn to see it, they can't wait to watch it. I've got folks out there that are texting, they're sending emails, they're sending letters. They're saying, we really appreciate this kind of programming. We used to watch that person on the field, on the court, but behind the scenes, we didn't know that those are real people with real aches and pains, but they also have a real divinity. They have something that we don't have. They've got a competitive juice and energy that took them to levels way beyond what we can. Where it would be all hands on deck to stop John Hand, number 4 pick in the draft by the Indianapolis Colts.
Yes.
And what year was that?
86.
In 1986, and the Colts were just gotten out of an 85 season that they did pretty well. I think they fell an interception away from going on.
I got here the second year that the Colts got here. After that midnight
And
ride.
yep, then from in '84, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so you got here a couple years after that. See, you folks, you young people, you know.
Young.
Thank
you. I haven't heard that in a while.
you young folks, you get around. But that's good news for me because I get to watch you guys and mature with you guys, and I get to sit back here and talk with you about it. Being number 4 pick in anybody's draft brings its own set of pressures.
Yes.
Then coming from, Alabama, where you'd been most of your life and career, and then all of a sudden you're up here in the Midwest, a little different location, a little different places. So tell me about the adjustment in terms of lifestyle here.
The Midwest was, like you said, something totally different for me. So when I moved here, when we got our first home, I used to keep the temperature on 78.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, made it always warm, no matter
No matter what.
I think within the first 2 years, we had one of the coldest winters that India had ever had.
Yes.
And so we outside in our gear, because we didn't have the dome then.
Right.
And our practice facility was still outside. And man, we were dressed up like Michelin men, standing up there with all that stuff we had on,
Right.
trying to keep warm.
Right.
But like I say, after a few years, you get used to it. Your body adjusts. But just coming up from the South, man, it was ridiculously cold up here.
Well, that's ridiculously cold. Well, some people always ask me, why do I stay here in the wintertime? I say, because I'm an idiot. But we stay here because we really love the people.
Yeah, it's a great place. I love India. We had kids here that grew up here. And you can get from anywhere in the world from Indiana. We're in the center.
Exactly. So you decided not to leave.
Nope, decided not to leave. Stay right here.
Because it was comfortable enough for you to be around here and do that.
Yeah.
Well, those were not great Colts teams, but there were some great Colts players. Tell me about some of your teammates at that time.
Oh, wow. We were a lot of no-name people, but I had some good people as a defensive line crew. Donnell Thompson was here when I was
yes.
here. Johnny Cooks was here.
Oh, yeah, Big Johnny.
Yeah.
Spent a little time with him.
Good friend of mine, Clip Odom,
Yes.
linebacker.
Yes.
And so, yeah, we had a lot of great people. Another guy on offense, Kevin Call.
Oh, yes, yes.
The creature.
But I bet you guys matched up pretty well every once in a while.
Actually, we had the same birthday.
Is that right?
Just 1 year apart. Exact
right?
same birthday.
Is that right? How about that?
Yeah, and a good friend of mine, Chris Hinton.
Okay, yeah. Well, Ring of Honor, Chris
Yes,
Hinton,
exactly.
Northwestern brainiac kind of guy too. You know what they say about offensive linemen? They say they're smarter than you defensive linemen.
Well, that's what they say.
That's what
No,
they say.
yeah, it's not true.
That.
No,
because they get to know the snap count.
Yeah, they do, and we have to guess
You
it.
gotta
And
guess
still
it.
beat them.
Beat them
where they're going.
So you had a different body type for those time and defensive linemen.
Yes.
Now they don't have that same sort of piece, and now they got these exotic schemes, and whether you're coming from a 3-4 or a 5-man set, or whether or not you're playing a nickel or playing a dime. I mean, they go through all these sort of things, but you know what it comes down to? Still blocking and tackling.
Exactly.
And if you can't block me, I'm going to tackle you.
Exactly.
So tell me about the defense that you were in and base defense that you played at that time.
Our base defense was a 3-4 front, 3 down linemen with 4 linebackers running, 2 outside and 2 inside linebackers.
Right.
And like I said, when I played, with that tight end coming down on you, you always had to they take on a double team block, and then, like I said, split it and still be part of the tackle.
Right.
And so, now they do a 4-man front where they got on the guard and the outside, those 245-pound linebackers on the end, and they're doing that.
They come in and they can also convert and become a 3 technique or be down, or they can be outside
the hybrids, they can do that now. They can stop and then they can drop back in coverage. Some of them, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they recruit to various kinds of defenses.
Yes, they do.
And so if the Colts were recruiting you, they were recruiting you kind of as an old school kind of player.
Yeah, well, I was on that transition when you had the tradition, how we used to play the game, like this 3-4 front, 3-man front, and then now they were transitioning to the 4-man front. And so it came a few years after I left, but that became the main thing in NFL. You can get somebody 245 coming off the corner, putting pressure on the quarterback, just change the scheme.
Right. Well, what about the lifestyle? Although Alabama's big-time college football, I mean, the NFL is at a different level. Maybe there's a little money involved. Maybe there's a little fame involved. There's a little bit of interest involved. What was your adjustment to the NFL?
My toughest adjustment was, at Alabama, we were winning. We got used to winning. And when I first got to the Colts, we weren't winning.
Correct.
Yeah, and the people's mindset was, they were still on the money and all the other stuff, and I'm just out of college, and I said, I want to win.
Exactly.
And I think winning will get all those other things that you want. And so, but it was tough. I tell people, my first 13 games in Indy, we lost for all 13. I cried after every game. Every game. I bawled like a little kid.
Well, we were just talking about grown men crying, maybe for different reasons, but there's no fun when you lose a lot.
There's no fun at all. And it seemed like, but in the last 3 games, it's like mindset started to change, and people just say, "This is not fun." And I kept saying, "It's not fun. It's not fun. Just to have your home crowd not with you, it's not fun." And so, like I said, I think we won the last 3 games. People's mindset started to change. They changed the whole team around a lot, and then we just started getting better from there.
Right, right. Well, getting better, being motivated, individually motivated. Obviously, you didn't like losing, and if you were saying, "Well, why aren't we winning?" You know, what do you do to help motivate others?
It's your work ethic. You know, you keep doing what you normally do, because I had to keep doing what got me to the NFL. If I stopped doing that, then I wouldn't have been in the NFL. I wouldn't have been around anytime. Played 9 years. My thing was, I got to give you all I've got every time I'm out there, and I'm always trying to win. That's my goal, is to win. So I got to play you. I got to outthink you. I got to try to out-hustle you. I got to out-muscle you. I got to be one step better than you.
Well, I mean, that's how many of us kind of grew up as young black men. No matter where it is in the country you go, is we were crafted to say, you know, what was your number? You know, and my number was 10. My dad said, you got to be 10 times better. You got to get up 10 times earlier. You got to stay up 10 times later. You just have to work it. You have to be competitive inside. And then if you can motivate others to be along with you, then they call you a captain. They call you leader. They call you someone who can go on. So you played. That's a lot of time to play in the NFL. And,
I was blessed.
And relatively healthy.
I look healthy.
You got through the league relatively healthy.
Well, the body tells on me nowadays.
Sure.
But yes, I didn't have any major surgeries or anything while I played. But yeah, you never escape the game completely.
No, because it'll catch up with you.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know, it'll still take its toll on you.
Right around 35, 40, it let me know.
Yeah, I used to look at decades of regression. How am I going to dominate? And then for the next decade, is how am I going to contribute a lot?
Exactly.
And then that next decade is how am I going to not get hurt? But your body is going to let you know.
Yes.
Well,
yes,
all hands on deck also has a lot of helping hands out there. You and your wife have been helping in the community. Tell us a little bit about that work that you guys do in the community.
It all started a few years. In '94, our son was born premature, and he lived for 28 days. And so those were, as my wife said, 28 of the most happiest days and 28 worst day of our life. And so going through what we went through, it's just seeing how other people had to deal with trying to go back to regular life after going through something like that. We started a foundation called JT's Hand, where we would help families that had children in the neonatal intensive care units of every hospital in the city. We would raise money so that those families could come to the hospital and see their kids, because the study was found that kids respond better when their parents are there, even though they don't recognize them. If you touch them, you talk to them, they can hear you and they'll heal better, they'll heal faster. But we found there was 90% of people who never came to the emergency room or to the neonatal intensive care units to be with their kids, because life goes on. You got to go back to work, you got to pay the bills.
On deck, just like our guest today. Thank you so much, John, for sharing your life with us. We appreciate you being here. You come back here next week for another version of Playing for Keeps.